Well, here we go. It's another Wednesday evening, and it's time for another edition of the Coors Light Steve Fairchild Coaches Show. Welcome, everybody. Ryan Roth with you. We're down in Old Town Fort Collins here on this beautiful Wednesday evening to talk some Colorado State Ram football as CSU is coming off yet another win, that thrilling double overtime victory here this past weekend as they knock off Utah State in Logan 35-34. Here's what we have coming up on the program for you. We'll be, of course, joined by head coach Steve Fairchild. We'll talk about the game this past week. We'll also take a look ahead to homecoming Saturday as San Jose State is in town, coming up Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. And we'll also talk to Shaquille Barrett, transfer linebacker from Nebraska, Omaha. Shaquille going to be joining us here at the Beach House Grill. He has been a pivotal part of why this Ram defense has been so good this year, as has Bernard Clark. He's the newest member of the coaching staff. He's a linebackers coach, and we'll talk to Bernard as well coming up a little bit later on in the program. Should be a fun one. Glad to have you aboard with us. We're at the Beach House Grill for the Coors Light Steve Fairchild Coaches Show. We'll take a timeout, and we'll come back after this. You're listening to Nelligan Sports, Colorado State Sports Network. What a win for Colorado State as they knock off Utah State double overtime on Saturday in Logan. 35-34 was the final score of that one. And Steve, it's one of the more exciting endings I've seen here at CSU in the past 10, 12 years.
Yeah, it certainly was exciting. And, you know, I've been a part of some overtime games as a coach, but in the NFL where the format's a little different than the way they do overtime in college, where it's the ball's at the 25 every time. It's really fast paced. It's just a different part of the game, and I thought our kids responded really well, and we were able to put together a couple touchdown drives there and end up coming up on top.
Do you ever talk about overtime as a staff and maybe have some kind of some kind of game plan?
Yeah, we do. You know, it usually kind of is your red zone game plan.
Okay.
But, you know, sometimes you've been milking that stuff during the game and you're running out of things to do. But we do game plan a little bit. But I'll tell you what, it's when it happens, it really is exciting. That was an exciting game.
Yeah. I think one of the things that really stuck out with me more than anything else on Saturday was the resolve and the fight of your football team, because you guys looked at a couple of occasions, perhaps you may be down and out, but you always fought back.
Yeah, they just kept fighting. It reminded me of New Mexico a little bit. There was a real positive attitude, kind of a belief in each other that maybe we didn't have last year, a confidence. And I really felt it at halftime. I knew we'd kind of had a sluggish first half in some areas, but I could tell looking at our football team in the locker room at halftime that they felt like they should win this game and were going to win this game. And, when you got no chance unless you believe that, and they obviously believed in themselves and gave themselves a chance to win.
It was a Utah State team that came into that contest averaging 46 points a game. They put up 38 on Auburn, and you guys held them to 21 in regulation, and one of them they had a short field to work with on one of their scoring drives because of a fumble. Did you think you'd be able to hold them in check as well as you did?
I thought we'd have success if we could shut down the run, and for the most part, the numbers sometimes don't look great, but we played real well against the run, and when you do that against that scheme, then you're going to be in the football game. I had an NFL guy I was talking to after the game. He said that might have been as good a non-conference team as we played in terms of prospects since we played Cal in 08. I mean, that was a very, very talented football team, and but we bottled up the run, kind of kept them in check, and offensively we stumbled around a little bit early, but it really felt like we took control of the line of scrimmage there down the stretch and did some good things.
Yeah, Utah State, of course, playing with a true freshman quarterback in Chucky Keaton. It looked like you guys really wanted to try to make the true freshman beat you on Saturday.
Well, and he can. He's a good player, and he can throw it, and he can beat you with his legs as well. But you pick your poison, so to speak, and the last thing you wanted is to let them get those running backs cranked up, because when they did that, that's how they were scoring a lot of points. So I thought our run defense played well. We tackled much better than we had the week before at CU, and then, when you start doing taking the ball away like we did and getting some 3-and-outs, those are just huge for the offense. And then you factor in a couple turnovers on the special teams and the way Pete punted the ball. The field position was in our favor the entire night.
Yeah, you mentioned the takeaways, and certainly a couple of them are huge. I thought one that obviously was huge was Shaquille Barrett's 15-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown. You guys are down 14-3 at that point, and fighting against a little momentum that Utah State was building, and boy, got it all back in one play.
Yeah, just a huge play, and obviously if you can turn the ball over, it's huge. But when you can scoop and score it like he did, that's impressive too. So I imagine he's going to be in my office wanting to play offense here pretty quick.
Yeah, we're going to have Shaquille Barrett coming up a little bit later on the program. Again, a transfer from Nebraska, Omaha. I'll have you comment on him a little bit as we get further in the show, but just give fans an idea of how much he has meant to you guys this year, because he didn't make his first start until the UNC game and only got to start that contest because James Skelton had been suspended.
But we knew he was a good player. His entire career in high school and his first year in college, he was always an edge player. We knew he was big and strong and had some things we really liked. That's why we recruited him. And he had some visits. He had some places to go. But, he's each game, each practice, he gets more and more comfortable in the middle. And I'll tell you, he's having a heck of a year so far. He was the Conference Player of the Week this week. And he's going to have a tremendous career at Colorado State.
Yeah, you mentioned that Barrett, the Defensive Player of the Week. You guys swept the Mountain West Conference Players of the Week. Offense, defense, and special teams.
Well, anytime you can have a snapper recover a couple fumbles, that's got to be a first. And so Tanner Hedstrom certainly did his job, and Chris Wokey's just been a real inspiration to our football team because just the way he plays the game. He's a very physically tough football player that plays the game the way you're supposed to, and we wore him down a little bit there in the fourth quarter, and he was able to get in the end zone, I think, once in the fourth quarter and once in overtime, and Chris did a nice job. There's no doubt about it. Yeah,
again, Woke, the co-offense player of the week. Tanner Hedstrom, the long snapper for the Rams, special teams player of the week. I'm willing to bet that's the first time a long snapper has ever won that award in the Mountain West. I don't know that, but I bet it's the first because nobody recognizes the long snapper until they make a mistake.
Yeah, it's one of those deals where unless you snap it over the punter's head, nobody knows who you are. So, and I don't know. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I would agree with you.
Yeah, no question. All right, we'll continue to look back at last week. Of course, last week in review presented by the Bank of Colorado. Bank of Colorado, proud sponsor of Ram football. Back after this from Nelligan Sports, Colorado State Sports Network. Back here at the Beach House Grill, we're live in Old Town Fort Collins for another edition of the Coors Light Steve Fairchild Coaches Show. Ryan Roth back with you. Poudre Valley Health System is proud to be the exclusive healthcare sponsor of Ram Athletics. The fast-growing network of healthcare providers and locations, PVHS is here for you. For more information, go to pvhs.org. Phone number tonight, if you want to get involved, 1-866-702-7691. Again, the phone number, 866-702-7691. And we'll go to the phones for the first time here in the program and welcome in Dave. Dave's in Arvada tonight. Dave, welcome to the show.
Hello there, gentlemen. Steve, how you doing this evening?
Doing really good, Dave. How have you been doing?
I've been doing great. I wanted to just say that was a really fascinating game to watch on Saturday. It was such an unusual way to see our team just really struggle early, but suddenly start to kick it in at the end. And I just wanted to mention that was probably the team that I've seen with the most heart since probably that first year in 2008. What do you think was the real catalyst for the character that we saw on Saturday?
Well, I think a lot of it's our seniors and our veteran players. What I sensed at halftime was a very confident football team and a football team that kind of believed in themselves and thought that they would make a play and do what it took to win that football game. And sometimes I think over the last couple of years we just haven't had that confidence. And we're waiting around and not going out and making things happen. But at halftime there was a great look in the eye of our football players. And sometimes if you believe and you play hard, good things will happen. And I think that's what happened at Utah State the other night.
Well, we heard that Shaquille Barrett was really, everyone thought high things of him coming in the coaching staff. Did you guys have any idea you'd see what you're seeing all of a sudden the first four games?
Well, no. I knew he was a good player. We knew a lot about him. He'd been an edge player for most of his career, coming off the edge. And, we put him at middle linebacker, and there's been a learning curve. But I'll tell you, he's had a tremendous year. He's a very, very physical player. He's very smart. He has a nose for getting to you, and I'll tell you, he packs as big a punch as I've seen at linebacker in quite some time. I mean, when he hits you, you feel it, and he knocks you back a lot. And he's just going to get better and better. He's a true sophomore, and as is Mike Rackpo, and there's some real bright days ahead for us. But he'll continue. He's a lot like Crockett Gilmore, at tight end. He hadn't been there a long time. He's flashing greatness, and I think the more he plays, it's going to start to show more consistently.
Dave, thanks so much for the phone call. Appreciate it. That's Dave in Arvada. If you want to be a part of the program, you can too. 1-866-702-7691, the toll-free number to hop on board here today. You talk about confidence, and confidence isn't something you can just say, hey, we're going to have confidence now. It's something you really kind of have to earn, and I think those 2 road wins have kind of really earned and make your team believe.
Yeah, that they if they play hard, something's going to happen. You're right. You looked at that team last year, and I felt bad as a football coach because we were practicing our butts off, and but it just was not a confident football team. And if you don't believe in your heart, there's too many good players out there in Division I football. If you don't believe in your heart that you're going to get it done, it's not happening. And this group, though, I think set out a little bit. Last January and all through mat drills and kind of came together, and I think they believe in each other, and I think they are playing for each other, not selfishly, and I just like it. It's got a good feel. They're really a fun group to coach.
Steve, comment on the offense a little bit. I know you guys struggled in the first half, but you seemed to get some traction, especially in the run game in the second half. What was the difference?
Well, I think we did stumble around a little bit. There's some penalties. It seemed like every time we were converting a first down, there's a flag on the field, and I certainly can't comment on any of that. But I do like the way we're running the football. We're physical in the offensive line. Our backs are hitting it hard. Pete's protecting the ball for the most part, and as we take steps forward in the pass game, I think we'll continue to get better on the offense side of the ball. But you could tell in that game the other night we wore them down, and I think that's part of the reason I think they went for 2 was they were gassed out defensively a little bit, and so I think we're on the come a little bit. We got to continue to improve, and I think we got a chance.
Yeah, you guys ran the football 47 times on Saturday too, and you didn't have a lot of success early, but you didn't abandon the run game either.
No, and sometimes again, the advantage this year is a lot of those are run to run or sometimes pass to run checks, and we've got a quarterback that, we may throw it if we get a certain look, but if we get a good run look, he's going to go ahead and keep the ball on the ground for us. And, I really like the job that Pete Thomas is doing in that regard. Yeah,
you kind of expand on that a little bit. How much freedom does Pete have out there under center?
Well, it certainly it varies play to play, but there are a number of times where we go in with 2 play calls, or I should say go to the line of scrimmage with 2 play calls. And, if we get a certain look, we're going to throw it. If we get a certain look, we're going to run it, or we may just have the same run, but we're going to do it right or left, depending on secondary rotation or defensive front, things like that. And those are things that obviously coming out of high school, Pete Thomas didn't know what a defensive front was or a secondary coverage was. He was learning everything last year, and now he's able to, like I said, do a lot better job of getting us into the right play at the line of scrimmage.
All right, again, the Rams 47 rushes in the win on Saturday night, 24 of them by Chris Woke. You commented on Chris a little bit earlier, but he seemed to be the guy that, at least towards the end of the game, you guys were putting your trust into.
Yeah, he had a nice look and a good feel, and he certainly was running physical. And, Raymond's done nice. Raymond's done a nice job for us this season, and I like what both of them have been doing. So much so we haven't put Derek Good into the game, and we want to do that. I think we're going to do that this Saturday. So, like I said all along, we need all 3 of those backs. But when it came down the wire there, Chris looked like he was really having a nice evening, and we kind of fed him the ball a little bit down the stretch.
Yeah. One final thought, the 2-point conversion, you guys tied up, I think, 42 seconds right in there. Down 21-19, obviously a 2-point conversion being attempted. You have a false start. Did that change the play call at all?
Oh, yeah, no, there's no doubt. It's obviously from the 3-yard line, we had a certain call that we had repped and liked and, felt very, very good about. And then when we got lined up, I thought this is a walk-in. We're in good shape here. Then we had a procedure call which all of a sudden kicks it back to the 8-yard line, and there's not a lot of good calls with one play from the 8, but fortunately we pulled one out of the bag, and Crockett Gilmore was able to convert that for us.
I read something. Gary Anderson, head coach of Utah State, said they had a 2-point play that they really liked That's why they went for it at 35-34. How many plays do coaching staffs have in their back pocket of 2-point conversions?
I don't know across the country. I know we on Fridays we'll walk through about 4 or 5 against our defense, mainly to give them a look at some 2-point plays. But we've got a little bit of a menu that depending on what we're seeing during the game, that we'll go to. Obviously, you'll never need 4 or 5 calls, but we had that many. But again, I don't think we called any of them. Once we got back to the 8, it's more of your red zone, 3rd and goal from the 8 type of call, and that's what we used in that situation.
All right, we'll have more with the head coach, Steve Fairchild, here. But first, timeout. I'm Delegate Sports. We're live in Fort Collins here in the Colorado State Sports Network. Back here in Old Town Fort Collins, we're live for the Coors Light Steve Fairchild, the Coaches Show. Welcome back, everybody. Of course, Colorado State getting set for San Jose State coming up this weekend. Of course, tickets are on sale now. They're going fast. It's the annual homecoming family weekend game, and it's historically one of the hottest tickets. End zone seats are already sold out. CSU San Jose State this Saturday at 2. Get your tickets now. Call 1-800-491-RAMS or visit csurams.com. Before we move on to San Diego State, a couple more comments from that game on Saturday. And again, the Rams win it in double overtime in Logan against what I thought was a very good Utah State team, 35-34, the final score. Talk a little bit about that locker room, because I know it was a wild scene inside that cramped locker room at Romney Stadium.
Well, it's always fun as the head coach to watch your team celebrate a victory, and and to do it in that fashion, double overtime. I mean, that's kind of a wild way to finish a game. And when we finally made that last stop, Momo Thomas made that tackle, and that was a thing of beauty. Our entire defense just swarmed to that play and came up big. Then we stormed the field, and we say our little prayer and sing our fight song, but then they started celebrating a little bit in the locker room. It was kind of nuts in there for a while. I didn't know. I was kind of running for cover a little bit. Nobody was listening to me, so. But it was fun, and they certainly, they played hard and deserved it. And win or lose, you kind of take 24 hours and celebrate or mope around, and you're disappointed. But when we come in on Sunday, we put it behind us and get back to work on the next Saturday's game.
Yeah, by the way, somebody told me Pete Thomas was standing on top of the lockers leading the charge.
I'm telling you, it was like a riot in there. I was running for cover at one point. So
you mentioned the 24-hour rule, and then, in fact, I was going to ask you about that because, last week coming off an emotional loss to Colorado, and you kind of have to put that in the rearview mirror and get on. And I know the same thing is just as important for a game like this.
It is. You're right. I mean, this is a perfect example because we were coming off 2 very, very emotional games, and one's a rivalry game against the University of Colorado that we felt like we didn't play our best and maybe let one get away there. And we're all very, very disappointed, and you just cannot let that type of situation affect the following game at Utah State. And then the same thing with Utah State. You get in one of these very emotional overtime wins, and you're feeling really, really good, and we can't do that. We can't let that guide us into the San Jose State game. It's got to be. We need to prepare. We need to prepare the best we've ever prepared this week. We need to improve and so forth, and not be looking back on that Utah State game. So hopefully our football team has that type of focus. So far we have.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like for the first time all year, CSU comes out of a game healthy for the most part.
I don't think we're certainly not healthy, but we certainly didn't add to the list.
Yeah, you didn't add to the list.
I don't know that there's any more room on the report that Terry DeZeo gives me. It's like 5 pages right now. So, but we didn't add. We got a little some bumps and bruises like we always do, and that, this time of year that's going to happen. And but the guys that have come in and played in relief, so to speak, have really stepped up and done a nice job.
And, of course, a couple of guys seeing their first action last week. Byron Steele, the wide receiver, Ezra Thompson, the safety. Both played. Your thoughts on how they responded and played?
Well, it's good that we get them back. And, obviously there's a lot of rust that we got to knock off on both of them. But they got some action, and I think they've got a chance to help us. And, with each week now they're going to continue to improve and get in the mix more and more.
Yeah, Steele had 1 catch for 10 yards. Ezra Thompson, 6 solo tackles in the contest. So both making their mark on that contest. More to come here on the program, but first this time out. We're live at the Beach House Grill. We're at Old Town Fort Collins here on a Wednesday night. With Delegate Sports from the Colorado State Sports Network. Love to have you join us here at 125 South College Avenue. We're here every Wednesday evening when there's not a bye week. We're here from 6 to 7. In fact, we will not be here coming up next Wednesday night, so make sure, certainly still come on out and enjoy the food and beverage. But, Steve, you're going to be here next Wednesday?
I might just come and have dinner and relax.
That's right.
That might be,
so Coach Fairchild will be here, but he won't be on the air here with us. Brian Roth along with head coach Steve Fairchild. Again, the phone number if you want to get involved in the show here tonight, 1-866-702-7691. CSU 3-1 in the season, and they get San Jose State coming up here this Saturday. Of course, along with the telephone, you can, well, if you're in the house with us tonight enjoying that fine food and beverage, we're always welcome to take in-house questions, and we'll go to the in-house mic right now where we're joined by Brandy. Brandy, go ahead.
All right, 42 seconds left in the fourth quarter. 2-point conversion on the line, 5-yard penalty. I was cheering. I thought it was a planned penalty. No such thing, huh?
No.
He needed a little bit more room, I thought.
No. The last thing we wanted to do was pull that ball back from the 3 to the 8-yard line with one play. We actually had a run called, and I liked the look when we lined up. I thought we had a nice chance to get it in, and their defense actually moves around a little bit, and they kind of made a sudden movement, and we moved, and it was a legitimate penalty. And, our odds at that point, go down dramatically. But, we had to come up with one play to score from the 8, and obviously throwing the ball at Crockett Gilmore seemed like a good idea.
And when you guys come back and watch the game, do you have somebody that films it, or do you watch what is actually shown on TV?
No, we have actually every play. We have 2 people at the game. That's a great question that you asked that. Every play is filmed from 2 angles. One is filmed from the press box where we can see all 22 players, and then another one's filmed from above the scoreboard where we can shoot just the rear ends of the offense and defensive linemen, so we can see kind of shades and techniques. And then we have a really, really good video staff, so when I come in on Sunday mornings, it's all what they call intercuts. So the first play we'll see from the sidelines, and then we'll see it again from the end zone, and so forth. So a 60-play game actually is a 120-play game, and you get to analyze it from 2 different angles. And then we have a computer system where we can enter all the data, the down and distance, the yard line, so forth, and then when we want to go back and study it, we can sort by that data. So if we want to look at all our certain personnel or all our first down plays or all our plays inside the 5, all we got to do is click on and we can get that. So it's really kind of an extensive video system, and it's a neat way to analyze games.
Thanks, Brandy. Appreciate that. You ever remember back to before that technology was
when I
around?
I'll tell you what, when I first got into coaching, nobody's going to believe this. I see Bernard and Anthony listening to me on this one. When I first got into coaching, we 16 millimeter filmed practice. So it would be,
you have the reel-to-reel?
Yeah, reel-to-reel, but you'd have to wait for it to get developed. Like we walk off the practice field now, and it's on video, it's all up and running. We used to have to send the tape down to Boulder, get it developed, and wait for a GA to drive back. You'd be waiting around till 9 or 10 at night to watch the practice. So, the video technology's really, really kind of improved the way we work, and some of those computer editing systems are fabulous.
Yeah, and of course some of those young coaches then out there, they have no idea what it used to be like in the old days.
No, it's just like walking to school in 3 feet of snow.
Yeah.
That's what they look at me. So.
Well, it's like asking a college kid, what'd you do without a cell phone or the internet? They don't know, because they've never lived without a cell phone.
No question.
And then, by the way, before we let you go, we're going to get Shaquille Barrett here. The play call on the 2-point conversion from the 3, toss sweep, or no?
No, I won't let that, because we will run that again at some point. I'm not going to let that one out of the bag. So,
well, you guys had so much success on the toss sweep. I figured you guys just might go right back to it on the 2-point conversion. All right, we're going to give Coach Fairchild a break. We'll get Shaquille Barrett up here when we come back. Stay with us from Elegant Sports and the Colorado State Sports Network.